Yep.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome to the Gameweek 30 pod of the FPL Wire, powered by DreamSetGo. I'm your host, Zoph. Cheltenham is on. Big man Bakar has put aside the monocle and top hat for us and joins Late Rise and I today. Hello, Bakar, or as you were saying yesterday, hello. He's disappeared. He's disappeared.
I wonder if this is like when before you're doing like a big stage performance, the lights off, that's happening. But such a disappointment. I mean, I've been looking forward to this pod all week, and while we were talking before going live, Bakar tells us he's not doing a dance.
Not at all, not at all. I don't know. I thought Bakar was a man of his word. He tells us he's going to save it for later. He's got a big performance planned, apparently, over the international break. Oh, I can't believe... Oh, there he is. I think he's back. I'm going to punch him back in soon.
Oh my God, Bakar, such a disappointment. I have something to ask him once he comes on.
I think he's with us now. He's with us now.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, but the camera, he's here finally. Bakar, is this how you respond to performance pressure?
I mean, I'm not exactly used to it as such. So this is the first time, I'm not even kidding. You guys have sort of spoiled my myth so much. Like my notifications are going through the roof, and every single person on my Instagram, and even some of my random friends who I haven't even met in like 5-6 years time, they've been sort of asking when's the dance coming out. So when people are looking forward to it.
How Late Rise has disappeared. We might be having connection issues, but also, what's the plan then for the dance next time? The people are waiting. What's in store?
Yeah, I'll make sure I'll have something up my sleeve very, very soon. The game week isn't over yet, so I mean, please give me some break. It's I'm sure it's going to be worth the wait.
Did you catch the intro or did you miss the entire intro? 1 second, let me punch LR back in.
I missed the intro.
Oh, we were talking about your hello, which you were saying yesterday while we were talking about our call yesterday. So what happened yesterday? Let me fill you guys in. Bakar calls me just randomly to have a chat and all that stuff. And this was on WhatsApp. We were having connection difficulties. And I don't know who Bakar was speaking to before this. So while we were disconnecting every time, Bakar is going, hello, hello. I'm going like, hello, yeah. He's going, hello, hello. Hello.
Okay, stop over exaggerating. So it wasn't like that. Please.
It was exactly like that. I was laughing for a good 10 minutes straight.
If you guys are done with having a session with your punching bag, can we move on?
Has Bakar spoken about his week? Bakar, you need to talk about your week.
Let's get to that first. You've been pulling punches.
You've had more points than me on a bench pool. So why don't you start us off, Pranav?
I've had a good week. FPL is going all right. It's good, but my God, these 1:30 a.m. kickoffs are such a pain, especially when you're doing it back to back. Because Tuesday was the United Champions League game, and then yesterday I thought I'd sleep, but then the Spurs game starts at 1 and then the Liverpool game starts at 1:45 and you're thinking, okay, maybe I'll watch 15 minutes more, and then you get sucked into it because there's no halftime break. So 2 nights of 4 hours sleep, and then it's so bloody hot in Bombay right now. Temperatures are going right up to 37, 38 degrees. So I'm just waiting to finish this pod and pass out. I don't want to get sucked into watching Richarlison, Gordon, and Dubravka. But FPL is going good. Bench boost is a result I'm pretty happy with. Was close to having a really good bench boost. I mean, Kai scored that beautiful goal 2 minutes from full time. Was it Zoph? 89th minute. So it would have been a much better bench boost because of that. Richarlison looked as lively as he. What I've heard, he's generally been a poor finisher this season, but sitting at 127 or happy days.
Fantastic. What about you, Bakar?
I have a score of 122 points. I took a 8-point hit, so it's 114 points. The net score is 114 points. I'm very, very happy with how things have went. I activated my triple captainship. It didn't really go exactly according to plan. I was expecting and hoping for around 14 to 15 points, but I personally don't rate the triple captainship that highly. I mean, because it's likely to be used on a safe player, which a lot of people are going to captain anyway. So it's basically one player. Technically. So, but overall, I'm really happy because I bought in Robertson for a hit for Rudiger. So that was a move which paid off. And Kulusevski and Kane I have for a while. So it's going really well. And now I'm ranked 1780 in the world, hopefully within the top 2K after tonight. I don't have any chips left. So I'll have to play a bit defensive. It's a bit like, like I'm sure you can relate in the subcontinent, like once a side bats first and like sets a 350 or a 400 target, you have to, in the end, set defensive fields to make sure you get a good finish. So that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully I can bag a top 10K finish, and that would be awesome.
I don't know about that, Bakar. I don't know if you have to play defensive because there's been a fair amount of conversation around this on Twitter, in the past couple of days. And people are talking about the number of players you had because of the chips and all of that. It's essentially been 3 players that halt. So if you owned at least 2 of Kai, Reece James, or Coutinho, you're laughing. If you captain one of Coutinho, Kai, or James, you're laughing. If you own Kane over Son, you're laughing. I think these 2, 3, or 4 decisions were the decisions which made a big impact on people's scores. And I don't think it was about the chip. So I don't think you have to be defensive. I think there's a mindset where you're thinking that you're going to lose ground to people who are chipping in there. It's if you're getting the 2 or 3 right players, I don't think you have to worry too much. It's about hitting those players. It's about hitting those holes.
You're right, but when you look at the top 10K statistics, around 85% still have the free hit available. Around 55% still have the bench boost available. So essentially, the danger game weeks for me are going to be 33 and 36. I get the fact that I have to own the right players. That's true, but I can't be. I will have to take some hits down the line to sort of make up for it. So that's the opportunity cost that I will have to pay. But like a large part of my recent success has been down to Semedo. I think if I didn't own Semedo, I wouldn't have had that jammy clean sheet when he got injured against Arsenal, and then he allowed me an easy route to James in 28. And then when James got injured, I decided to sell Rudiger for Robertson. So I mean, it's basically one decision after the other, which sort of, it's a chain of events where luck goes your way. I mean, when it rains, it sort of pours. So I mean, when it goes against you, it's the other side of variance. So it feels like great to be on this side of variance, but I just wonder what's coming in the next few weeks.
It's funny. It isn't really a thing, but FPL generally feels like a momentum-based game. It isn't. We don't have any control over anything, but somehow when you're making good decisions and when variance turns in your favor,
right. Yeah.
It's generally very streaky. Speaking about chips, Zoph is sitting with a few in his pocket. What's the plan? What's the thinking ahead?
With an open mind, really, a lot depends on the FA Cup results this weekend. As of now, I'm planning to proceed for 33 without a chip, probably dead end into 33. There's a good opportunity for a wildcard in 34. Now with the title race hotting up, and we were talking about, I think it's imperative now to get 3 pool and 3 city till the end of the season. That's what I'm going to sort of put my focus on. But at the same time, I want to avoid the game week 32 fixture where they play each other. So there's a good segue into that, I think, in 34, which is going to form the crux of my wildcard. And I'm not as much concerned about the doubles. I want the score of 6 players.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. In fact, I mean, a lot of people are talking about people who wildcarded early, talking about they're hoping that City win against Southampton so that Arsenal have that double in 33 and Saints have that double in 33. And a lot of us that wildcarded in that 26 to 28 period will be happy to own those players. I actually think it's the opposite because, in my opinion, there is no doubt in my head that City and Liverpool, given the fact that they're in the title race, have the best FPL options, are the teams to focus on. And 34, 35, 36 for City is a beaut. So I feel like if City lose to Southampton in the FA Cup, we might not get distracted by these fairly average to poor picks that have doubles in 33. Because the players to get right now are Cancelo, KDB, the Pot, those kind of players.
Even
And
Havertz, you could argue. Cause,
even Havertz, you're focusing on your transfers on the right players and not getting distracted or sidetracked. So I'm hoping City have that double in 33 because it will force us wildcarders who wildcarded early to make the right decisions 31 to 33.
Let's move on quickly. My game week score, I hit exactly 100, but it was 92 after hits, but an 8-point hit paid off. Quite happy about that. Kane,
Yes.
Kulusevski, and Doherty all came. It was about 20-point gain after the hits also, so quite pleased about that.
Keep telling yourself that. Hits work sometimes, Zoph.
This season is an absolute anomaly. Right? All the rules go out the window completely. You have blanks, doubles being thrown in. Like, I remember when that Premier League fixture announcement used to be a rare occasion. Oh, the fixtures have been rescheduled. It was like every week we see that announcement pop up at 9:30 p.m. our time every day, every week almost. So this is just how it is. Cool.
And people who haven't adjusted yet to that thinking where aggressive is the way to go this season, just because of the number of doubles we're having, I think it's about time you shift your thinking because it's not going to end until game week 37 with the number of doubles we have. So attack is the way to play this season.
Yeah, and this activity at the other end of the table is quite tight. I would say only Norwich are probably definitely down. Watford have a good bunch of home games. Everton have a lot of fixtures to be rearranged. So there's definitely points to be had at both ends of the table right till the end of the season. Right? Should we start, boys? So we have a new sponsor video today to play for you guys. Enjoy. DreamSetGo is India's first sports travel and experiences platform, offering a range of premium end-to-end authentic experiences across football, cricket, tennis, F1, rugby and golf, among others. From matchday hospitality to VIP stadium tours, from private meet and greets with athletes and legends to exclusive access to their training sessions, DreamSetGo curates the most fulfilling sports travel packages for fans like you.
It feels weird to do not a voiceover video after you pull off that amazing thing, but I'm going to get in touch with the guys at Fantasy Football Scout. We need to do something like that for them as well. But all the stats that you see on our podcast are from the Fantasy Football Scout members area. If you aren't a member already, do click on the link in the description below.
Cool. And we also had one new Patreon sign up this week. Thank you, Benjamin, for your support. Our Patreon link is patreon.com/the FPL Wire if you want to buy us a coffee. Right, let's get started, guys, with the fixture announcement. So most of you guys would probably already be aware of this, but just in case you're not, we'll just summarize this really quick. With the latest fixture announcements, the teams with confirmed doubles in 33 are Brighton, Burnley, Leicester, United, and Newcastle. Now, the thing is, FA Cup semi-finals are also in Game Week 33. So the teams that progress to the semi-finals, they would likely have their weekend fixture postponed. So that would mean that Chelsea, Liverpool, and Man City, we would be expecting their doubles to be postponed, probably go into 36 or 37. This should also result in Villa, Leeds, and Wolves having a blank. Now, if City beats Southampton, then Arsenal and Southampton would also be confirmed as having doubles. That's where we are.
Zoph, just a little bit of adjustment if you can do on my mic. There's been a little bit of complaint. If you can just put my mic volume up a little.
To bump it? Done. I'll get that done.
Cool. Initial thoughts?
It's already maxed out your mic volume. I think maybe you'll have to bring it a bit closer.
All right, that's what I'll do. I'll just bring it a bit closer and talk. Initial thoughts, Bakar, on these double game week announcements?
Not a lot of changes in the immediate short term for me. I think a lot of this is obviously going to be dependent on FA Cup results. But as long as we assume that the favorites go through, A lot of us have triple Arsenal already. Broha is likely to have a double in 33. Jimenez to Weghorst is a move which I believe is going to be very popular, despite the fact that Burnley's attack is absolutely atrocious. It just gives you like 3 additional games as compared to Jimenez from game week 31 to 33, and the fact that not only do Burnley have two doubles in 31 and 33, they also play Norwich in 32. So I mean, it's the way I'm looking at it. I think it's easy to sort of get around 7, 8 decent um, double game week players, and Liverpool are playing United in 33. I sort of expect Liverpool to blow United away in that fixture. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Spurs have Brighton at home in 33.
Yes.
So I mean, a lot of us have Spurs. So I don't think immediate surgery is required for 33 as such. And the good thing about 36 and 37 is that there are 4 teams: Everton, Villa, Chelsea, and Leicester, which are likely to double in both those weeks. So for someone who doesn't have a free hit, or for someone who will use the free hit in 33, it's not exactly very hard to navigate those weeks as long as you get the right people and as long as you plan in time.
Are you planning to ignore City and Chelsea then? Okay, that's the main question.
No, I do have Reece James in my squad. I will get City probably from 33 onwards. Once they play Liverpool, after that I'll have plan for City in my squads.
Because that's the problem I have. That's the worry I have because of City. City are likely to double in 36, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Keep pulling up the wrong image. Yep. 36 or 37. We have this table here from FPL Timbers. This sort of illustrates now with all the which teams have these fixtures, how many games to reschedule, etc. So like you see over here, only the teams that have naturally 2 fixtures in the games to reschedule column are the ones who are likely to have the double. Now this is contingent on Leicester's progress in the European competitions. If they get knocked out tonight, then the doubles could be scheduled earlier, of course, the FA Cup fixtures, etc. But the teams which most likely to have doubles are Leicester, Chelsea, Everton, and Villa in 36 and 37. So
let's talk a little bit about people who have a wildcard in hands off. What might push you to press that button in game week 31, for example? The City result, you reckon? I think that's the biggest factor.
Yes.
Or are you going early?
Because then you could probably load up on City right away. They have good fixtures. But at the same time, I don't know. Then I would think I would probably just free hit in 33 still. Because even if I get 3 City, I don't want them for that Liverpool home fixture necessarily. I think I'd rather want Kane for that week. And we'll talk about game week 32. Because I think that's an interesting one in terms of captaincy as well. Spurs and City and Liverpool play each other that week. So I think we've been talking about Kane a lot. I think Kane is a borderline essential that week. So I don't want to necessarily switch Kane out for KDB, even though we know KDB is a big game player. So, but I did an article about this on Scout, and like my main problem with free hitting in 33 as it stands is if all the FA Cup favorites go as we expected, and like Bakar said, they're good single game week fixtures. So I made up a draft free hit team over here, which I like. I've included only doublers over here. I haven't counted any of the guys with the good single game week fixtures as possible targets who you'd really look to achieve. Now, especially in defense, if you look, right, it's got Pope, Tarkowski, Schär, and Varane. Do you think a James who has maybe even just Arsenal at home, a Cancelo who has Brighton at home, Doherty who also has Brighton at home, Trent has United at home, they can outscore any of those guys?
Exactly.
Exactly. I wouldn't even be confident pulling the trigger on that free hit button. And if I do it, I don't think I think I'll probably go in on United attack because of that Norwich home fixture. Maybe plump in on a couple of Leicester or Newcastle attackers. But I'd have players from those big teams who have single game weeks as well. Right. And this is all an academic discussion, right? I mean, Zoph, you and me were chatting in the day. It was an interesting tweet from Ben Krellin where he said that there are 35% chances of at least one of the 3 favorites losing their tie in the FA Cup based on the bookie odds. So, I mean, that almost forced me to make up my mind in terms of, saving the free transfer this week. Because I think if you're saving the free transfer this week and it happens that one of Liverpool, Chelsea or City lose their FA Cup tie, that's where you're going to be focusing on your transfers in game week 31. And those are the places where you want to focus it on, irrespective.
Absolutely. But
I agree as well. I personally think that saving a transfer is definitely the way to go. I mean, the only 3 or 4 situations where I'd sort of look to sort of using a transfer in 30 is if, for example, I didn't own Kane. A lot of people have Son instead. and have no route to Kane, I'm a huge advocate of moving to Kane and have been for the past few weeks. So I mean, I understand that it sort of looks sideways from like by going from Son and another forward to probably Kulusevski and Kane, but the numbers that Kane has are absolutely ridiculous. He has double the number of big chance involvements than Son over the past 8 matches. So he's right up there. In fact, he's much better than Salah for the big chance involvements as well. The other situation is, I mean, some people who might wildcard in 31. For those, I think obviously you can go for a punt like Harvey Barnes or Ivan Toney. And another possibility, for example, like someone like Zoph does not have triple Arsenal in his squad. So I think it's worth using a transfer to get an additional Arsenal player because Arsenal likely to double in 33 as well. So that's another scenario where I'd use my free transfer. Obviously, if you have players like Bowen or Trossard, etc., then obviously it makes sense to sell them as well. But other than that, I just think the flexibility that two free transfers will allow you going into next week is going to be absolutely massive.
Agreed, I'm with you on that. By the way, kudos to both of you because you all were very confident on saying to our listeners that if you own Son, make the switch to Kane this week and it will pay off. It paid off immediately, but kudos to both of you because I wasn't confident saying that out loud. I mean, I understood that Kane is the better pick at the moment, but in my head, Son is Son, right? That's because of the quality of the player. But I mean, it's obviously very result oriented, but good job not sitting on the fence on that one.
It could swing
Thank
though.
you. I mean,
you never know. The next game, it could swing completely. So I don't think
exactly.
it's like a foregone conclusion.
I mean, we like saying things in black and white. I mean, if you were saying like 10 things, like 3 or 4 will be wrong. So I mean, this is just one of those things which went well.
Exactly.
So another point that was raised, I just want to mention over here now. Another point that was raised over here now, that somebody who doesn't have a wild card. Right now, the thing is, a lot of these teams. Now, let's look at the fixture list now after 33. What that looks like. Now, if you bring in your Leicester players for that double, they have decent fixtures, but Newcastle's fixtures go south. Southampton's fixtures aren't great either. Burnley's fixtures absolutely horrendous also. So, I mean, not horrendous. It's Wolves, Watford, Villa, Spurs, Newcastle. Not great, but still not somewhere I'd like to stick. So there is a case that if you don't have a wild card, right, then you could possibly get in these players because for 36, 37, you're going to have doubles from good teams. You're going to have good players. But if you bring in these guys for 33, they're sort of like, messing up your squad for the long run.
But as you said, Zoph, I mean, in that case, like the good thing is that the single game weekers have a good fixture as well in 33. So it's like technically not that hard to navigate, right?
Correct. But the guy, let's say if you do want to bring in, you have to be a little bit picky because let's say you bring in Ronaldo for the Norwich fixture, you'll want him out immediately the week after.
Yeah, but you've got to factor in the captaincy as well, right?
Right. So I think
Ronaldo can easily score a hat-trick against Norwich. That's that kind of player.
And he could get something at Liverpool as well, just a one-odd goal, just like because if he just turns up on that day like he did against Spurs, he can get something out of nothing.
Yeah. Personally, for me, I mean, getting in Ronaldo for captaincy, hitting him in and out is I don't think it's a huge issue personally.
Where do you guys stand on Leicester? I want to talk a little bit about Leicester City because people are plumping on them. Okay, fine, they have decent fixtures and they have a good-looking double. But I think it's before 32 and before 33, which will be their European games if they go through. And it looks likely because they're 2-0 up in the first leg as well. So, and I mean, you don't need a clearer indicator than Rog not playing Tielemans and NDD in the league. And they're sitting at 12th, having not much to play for. A lot of people are talking about Harvey Barnes. A lot of people, and I think that's a good punt for 30, fine. But I don't know if it's a good transfer in at the moment, even though they have a confirmed fixture in 30 and a double in 33, because how much are they going to play? How much are they going to be prioritizing the league? And that's something that's just not sitting right with me fully at the moment. Where do you guys stand?
Yeah, I don't think that it makes sense to get Barnes in at this point in time for someone like, a lot of managers were considering selling Salah this week and maybe then selling Rafinha back to Salah next week. I don't think it makes too much sense because of the fact that Leicester have United away next week, and as you mentioned, then the Europa League fixture. I think we're probably better off ignoring them till 33 because a lot of us have Rafinha, for example. Rafinha is likely to blank in 33. I think that's a transfer we can make in 33. and hopefully by that time we can, fingers crossed, hope that Leicester have been knocked out of the Europa League. I think that would be ideal for those of us who don't go with them. But I don't think if for example I have someone like Trossard or Bowen, in that scenario I don't mind going with Barnes, but I don't mind. I don't really rate the option of going someone like a Rafinha or Salah in and out for Barnes.
Where do you stand on that, Zoph? With a wild card in hand, I think you can afford to take a few more gambles compared to Bakar.
Right. But what happens, like you said, with Leicester, now you have the Europa League at 31, the other side of 32 as well. They have options, right? On the wing. It's not like they don't have any other players on Barnes. Now, let's say now with Fofana fit, they can go to a 3, in which case they probably play 2 up top with Vardy back. You have Vardy and Acho. You have Perez, Lookman, Albrighton. They have options. So it's not necessarily that if they start prioritizing the European competition, that Barnes is going to start every game. And what I have over here is Leicester's non-penalty XG numbers over the last 6 matches. They are 4th bottom, just slightly ahead of Burnley. So it's not like they're effectively creating a lot of chances, scoring a lot of goals. Their attack has slumped significantly. They have only an XG non-penalty of 5 over the last 6 matches. They've created only 7 big chances in the last 6 matches. That's quite poor.
Off your mic's echoing a little.
Is it? Let me have a look.
Complaints in the chat.
Okay. Yes, it would be. I'm sorry, I fixed that.
A lot of people have been considering, Leicester defense as well for Dean, and I don't really like that move at all as well, because Leicester, I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet this week. They're actually ranked 20th for non-penalty XG conceded at home, 19th for XG conceded at home, and no team has allowed more big chances than them in the previous 6 home fixtures. So I do think Brentford will score this week. I know that Leicester have a lot of doubles to come, but honestly, I would, if you have Dean, I would just honestly keep him this week and possibly sell him for James next week before Chelsea have a great run of fixtures. I don't think buying a Leicester defender makes too much sense, even if they have a few extra fixtures to come later on.
Not at
So
all.
I think somebody like a Fofana is a good placeholder, if you ask me, because in my opinion, it's a little bit of a gamble just based on his fitness. But if you ask me, he's distinctly primarily first choice Leicester City centre back because he's that good, and the quality of the players that he's replacing are not really good at the moment. So I think keeping somebody like a Fofana who's not very expensive as a placeholder for your doubles in 33 and hoping that he plays in 30 because he's going to be in the squad for the European game tonight. So that's something I don't mind, because I think Leicester will see a sharp turn in defensive fortunes if Justin is playing instead of Thomas, for example, or if Fofana is playing for Amati, because it's a significant upgrade in terms of defender quality. So something like that, I'm not totally against given the stats, because I think that might be a sick. But again, it's something that I'm not fully for also, because, like we mentioned, City and Poole are in the title race. So defensive spots are going to come at a premium because James is going to be fit for 31. Cancelo is somebody we're considering. A lot of us own Robbo and Trent. Doherty is an option. White is an option. These are just defenders from much better teams as well. So you actually value those spots in defense a lot more, and you don't really want to go punty with your spots there.
Absolutely. So I'm sorry about the echo on my voice earlier, guys. The point I was making was about Leicester's non-penalty XG. There's just 5 over the last 6 matches, and they've created only 7 big chances over the last 6 matches. By the way, this is 6 matches, not game weeks. So everyone is on an even keel here. I don't remember exactly who they've played, though. They haven't had very tough fixtures from what I can recall, but I'll have a look again at who they've played. But in general, even against Arsenal, I thought they looked a bit toothless. We always had this feeling that Leicester always scored, but they've scored, I think, about 4 goals, maybe 5 goals in the last 5 matches. So not really enamored by their assets in general.
Fair enough. Right, let's move to this week.
So before we come to this week, I just like to. I just had a few points regarding. I made a few points regarding free hit 33 versus 36, because I thought it would be nice to run you through them, because a lot of managers have at least one free hit trip intact, and they're sort of looking to decide whether to use it in 33 or 36. So just give me a few minutes so that I can run you through these few arguments. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so firstly, I'd present the arguments for free hitting in 33 and not free hitting in 36. The first point I have is that a lot of FPL managers have triple Spurs in Liverpool. like myself, Pranil, and you as well, Zoph. So I mean, both teams are likely to double in 36. So obviously, we own players who are doubling in 36. That's a case for free hitting in 33. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier, Chelsea, Leicester, Everton, Villa are four teams which are likely to double in 36 and 37. So it's technically easier to set yourself up for those weeks. So that's another point for free hitting in 33. The third point is that if City go out of the cup, it would mean no double for Arsenal and Southampton. A lot of us have triple Arsenal and Broha in our squad, so it would be easier to sort of load up on Man City, especially if they double in 33 and they lose in the cup. Fourthly, if you have quite a few Leeds, Wolves, and Villa players in your squad, I think it makes far more sense for you to free hit in 33, as they are the teams which are likely to blank in 33, dependent on FA Cup results. The big reason why I like free hitting in 33 is because it allows you to triple up on United attack rather than spend transfers like myself, or for those who won't be free hitting in 33, buying the likes of Ronaldo, Fernandes, Sancho, and then shifting them out later. So those transfers can easily be avoided. Now I'll move on to the arguments for free hitting in 36 and not free hitting in 33. Firstly, the point is that popular assets like triple Arsenal, Dubravka, Broha already have a double in 33 if results go their way. As I mentioned earlier, Jimenez to Weghorst is another good move that you can make for to set yourself up for game weeks 31, 32, 33. So free hitting in 33 is not that necessary. Kane to Ronaldo is possibly another move you can make before Ronaldo's double in 33. Similar price points, so easy to move from Kane to Ronaldo. Fourthly, Liverpool have United at home in 33. Spurs have Brighton at home in 33, as we mentioned earlier. Those are two great fixtures. So possibly a free hit in 33 can be avoided because the single game weekers are good enough. And finally, the last part is that even if City go out of the cup, and we assume that we won't have any City players, I don't think it is the end of the world buying triple City for hits, because they're good assets to have long term, right? So I think there's an argument to be made for both cases: free hit in 33, free hit in 36. It depends on which arguments you like the more, but I personally think that both arguments make a lot of sense and they carry a lot of merit.
Which way are you leaning at the moment, if you had to free hit?
I think if I had a free hit, I would not use it in 33 personally.
Same.
I think it depends if you have a wildcard in hand.
So, I mean, elaborate. If you do have your wildcard in hand?
I think if you do have your wildcard in hand, it makes more sense to dead end into 33 and wildcard into 34. That way you can bring in, like Bakar said, you can bring in your United guys, not worry about them next week. You can bring in a bit of Newcastle and again get a new completely fresh guys.
So dead end and 33 with a free hit is what you're saying.
No, what did I say? I said if you don't sorry, let me just rewind back. Maybe I had a bit of a head spin there. So I'm saying if you have a wild card, dead end into 33 without the free hit with transfers, and use your free hit later in 36, 37. Because what I am thinking with somebody who still has a wild card free hit in hand, certain teams, it might be what I'm seeing now, for example, let's take Leicester, right? We are seeing one of the doubles is going to include Chelsea away, the other is going to include Norwich at home. I don't want triple Leicester for the double that's going to have Chelsea away. I want triple Leicester for the double that will have Norwich at home. So there might be a way that I can optimize the doublers with the free hit in 36 and 37 with the wild card. That's where I am at.
Well,
a lot of people in the chat are asking about the bench boost. What will you do if you have both a bench boost and a free hit left? And Zoph, you actually have the similar dilemma. So why don't you actually run us through this?
Similar thing, because ultimately I would see which team, let's say which teams play more. I think 36 we expect the bigger double, right? So I'll probably wildcard in 34 in such a way that I get 15 or maybe 14 doublers in 36. Now those guys may not necessarily all double in 37. They might not have good fixtures in 37, but I don't really care because I'll free hit in 37 that way, or even free hit in 38. That's even an option because 38 has some really good fixtures. I don't have them up here right now, but there are some very good fixtures. I think Spurs play Norwich or Burnley, something like that.
And no one's really looked at those single game weeks actually, because I haven't sat and analyzed when I want to free hit. But it might even be just a single game week where you don't really own players from good fixtures. That said, it's difficult for that to happen because you're primarily focusing on the good teams at the moment. So it's just ignore what I said. That's all. We'll know when we know, I guess, at the moment. But I'm not very inclined towards free hitting in 33 as things stands. Whether City win or lose that game, I'm not inclined towards free hitting.
Right. So I think to summarize what the takeaway is for this, like we first of all, let's look at free hit 30. We haven't really touched upon that. I think we're all absolutely clear on don't free hit in 30 at all.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you have just like 4 or 5 starters, in that case, I mean, I do get the merit behind free hitting in 30 because, in that way, some sort of virtual, gain is some sort of gain is basically virtually guaranteed. So I in only that scenario, because other than that, if you have 7, 8 starters, I won't do it at all because the ceiling is low. It's very hard to predict. Me and Zoph were speaking about this on our call yesterday, where we were discussing that you'll have to probably hedge your bets where you're playing an attacker against a defender. So obviously the upside and the ceiling will be limited because you'll get points one way or the other, and we won't be able to sort of maximize points potential.
You were discussing. I was laughing.
Right. Let's move to this week's fixtures, guys.
Yep. So another thing also, did you any number you guys want to put on as an ideal number this week? 7, 8, 9?
7 is fine. I'm sitting with 7 and heavily considering rolling my free transfer this week.
I think Bakar summarized it well. If you're going to bring in Leicester or Arsenal players, that's probably the only reason why to use your free transfer. If not, roll it. We have much more information next week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
I think what we should do with just the 4 fixtures is maybe try calling how we see those games going, which might actually help people that are on free hit or looking at transfers in, and talk about assets that we like from those fixtures if we are to get anybody. Wolves Leeds. How do you see this game going, Zoph?
1-0 Wolves, personally, is how I see it going. I don't think Leeds, even against Norwich, they created so many chances, but I don't think they have what it takes to necessarily score past Wolves. And Wolves, again, look to have a bit of mojo back. Look good the last 2 games. I'm not seeing it as a very high-scoring game either way.
Yeah, generally Wolves games aren't really high scoring because they try to play out the game. But I do see Leeds getting a goal or 2 in this game because I think again there's going to be a momentum shift after that last minute winner, and that just lifts spirits around the place, and they'll be waiting to go. And what I've seen from Leeds, I've been very happy with. I think they look good, and and it just wasn't Norwich. I thought they showed spurts of playing well before Norwich as well, and I thought Marsh was getting very unfairly judged for the results before that Norwich game. Probably a 1-1 draw is how I see this. I can't call a clean sheet in this game either.
Yep.
Okay.
1-1 also seems something possible.
Yeah, I'm confident that Leeds will score in this fixture. I think it will be high scoring. I'd probably go with a 2-2, or maybe a 2-1 Leeds win. I think Leeds will do well in this game, coming on the back of that last minute winner. And I was actually listening to the press conference today as well, and the Leeds manager sounded very positive, very confident, and he was like, "We're taking a lot of momentum into this game." So, I mean, there's a sort of a feel good factor around that place at the moment. So hopefully, I don't own any Wolves defenders, so I'm hoping for a Leeds goal. I'm a bit biased, but I do think they will score.
If you are on a free hit, I'd go Rafinha for sure. No, not a doubt.
Yes, I'll have Rafinha as well. I mean, a lot of people sort of label me for being biased with Rafinha, but I mean, the guy's had like an XGI of 3.4 and like just 1 assist over the past 4 weeks. I mean, very rarely this season have I actually seen someone who's actually been the top most XG underperformer for 2 successive game weeks, and Rafinha is actually there. So I do think that surely points are coming, and even if not this week, I like his fixtures for 31 and 32 as well. Southampton are, I think, arguably the first side to be on the beach this season, and then they have Watford. So hopefully some points are on the way.
Would you guys own any defenders from this game if you were on free hit?
I would probably go with one Wolves defender or either Saw. I mean, it's because it's so hard to pick defenders from this game week that I think getting one Wolves just for safety just kind of makes sense.
I'd not get any. I can't. I don't know how to call a clean sheet, and I don't know how to call a clean sheet any of the games. So I just want to go with defenders who have some attacking threat, and maybe Size because of that reason, but nobody else. Zoph?
Johnny. I'm a big
Johnny,
fan of.
yes.
I'm a big fan of Johnny. He looked good last 2 games. He's back, and he's a much better version of Semedo. He's very good with both feet. He's going to be playing on the right, and I think he was top for penalty box touches for Wolves against Everton. So he's basically an attacker, a wing back. He's a much, much, much better version of Semedo. So, and very low ownership. Nobody's going to really have him this week. So
That's a good shout. Yeah.
I really like him as a punt. I don't mind Podence as well, because if you're going to free hit, right, you have to understand most people are going to already have 3 Arsenal, 3 Spurs. So ultimately, what is the point of the free hit? Is either, okay, maybe you're trying to catch up. Maybe you don't have any of these guys. That's fair enough, but that seems too defensive to me. You have to have at least 1 or 2 punts in there. That is going to be difference for the template. And I think Podence and Johnny are the 2 from Wolves.
I'd go elsewhere for my punts. I think Leeds have that momentum in this after the Norwich game, and
there might be better punts elsewhere, but from this fixture, I think those are the 2 guys that probably stand out. And Jimenez, of course, is like goes without saying.
Yeah. I like the fact that you shouted Johnny out. I mean, we were talking in the morning as well, and you were talking about how many penalty box touches he's had, and I was like, yeah, that's something that the free hitters can take advantage of. Villa Arsenal. I don't think this game is going to be as straightforward, I think, because there's going to be a little bit of... It's the first time in a long time Arsenal are playing 3 games in a week. And the turnaround after the Liverpool game is, 63 hours is what I read. So there could be a few tired legs out there. And we saw Arteta already protecting his players because Saka, Odegaard and Lacazette got subbed between the 65th to the 80th minute. So I'm a little wary of tired legs. So I do like a couple of Villa-sized punts if you are on free hit this week. I mean, I'd probably go for Coutinho, and I like the Matty Cash shout this week as well. His form is form and looks very attacking on that side. So I want to get defenders because it's so difficult to call clean sheets this game week on free hit. Matty Cash has that attacking threat. Callum Chambers, he's getting in the box and he looks like he's getting a big chance every week. Somebody who's super cheap, I think 4.2 or 4.3. Maybe I'd look at that if I was on free hit. And if I was buying an Arsenal defender, Gabriel is the one I'd go for as well because he's just a set piece monster. That's about it. Thoughts, boys?
I think Villa will possibly come out tops in this fixture. They're actually much better at home. I was having a look at the numbers. I think 6th or 7th in terms of goals scored at home this season. And the fact that they had an entire midweek off, Arsenal's a fixture that probably Gerrard would definitely want to win. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Arsenal at all.
I agree. You said that Villa are decent at home going forward, but actually defensively, it's actually the opposite. Their defensive stats away from home are actually much better.
I'm talking about attack.
I think this game will be a close one. I don't think this will be high scoring personally. I think 1-1, something like that. I won't be surprised to see Villa win as well. I mean, the short turnaround for Arsenal is going to be critical, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if Martinelli didn't play 90, I think now that after what I saw against Liverpool, I'd go Martinelli over Saka if I was on free hit. Just because he looks so good. He looks sharp. I think he was just gaining a little bit of fitness and he looked like he was there last night against Liverpool.
You can't bench him though, surely, right? After that. I know he played 90 minutes, but surely can't bench him after that. Maybe a 60, 70 minute sub, but you have to think he starts this one as well.
Yeah.
Who do you think Smith Rowe comes in for?
I don't think
he come in?
I don't think
he does because Arteta needs to stick with his first choice team also. Zoph makes a good point because every point counts. Arsenal are very much in a tight race for Europe at the moment. So they will want to win 3 points back immediately and Arteta realizes it's going to be a tough fixture. I think he plays his first team.
I think Martinelli is firmly first choice. He started 14 of the previous 14 Premier League matches he's been available for. So I do think he's first choice. Lacazette was making a signal yesterday to get subbed. So that was a bit bizarre. I don't know what that was about. Maybe he had some injury or he was tired or something. I'm not too sure. But I guess I'd still expect the same front four to line up against Villa.
Yeah, then I'd go Martinelli on free hit. I think I'd just take that punt. He was very close to scoring in that 88th minute as well. Chance just went past the post. But Alisson is doing some incredible things this season. He's been doing incredible things all.
As a Robertson owner, that didn't really make for good viewing at the end.
Yeah.
But on free hit, I wouldn't even plumb for an Arsenal defender. I think on a free hit, I think that you go for the either Wolves, Leicester, and Spurs guys in defense. You go for
I was preparing a rough, free hit draft. I think Ramsdale. I would go with Ramsdale as the keeper because
as a keeper,
from all the teams.
Yep.
from all the teams this week, I think that Ramsdale is the keeper to get because I can see, Hall potential if Arsenal do get a clean sheet out of it. You look at Villa, Coutinho, Ramsey, those kind of guys, they like shooting from distance. So I can see a few saves from Ramsdale in this one. And, unlike Leeds, which are, they're usually direct. So I don't really expect Sarr to make too many saves. Brentford, I fully expect to score. I mean, Spurs, I'd rather go to the defenders and attack. So, I mean, Ramsdale for me is the keeper to get from on a free hit.
That's fair, absolutely.
I'd absolutely have Matty Cash on my free hit team just because I want attacking threat, and I think he's one of those who has that significant classification that he's very attacking amongst all the defenders on offer this week.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Cool. Leicester, Brentford. Again, do we have the Leicester lineup? You guys can talk about this. I'll quickly go check if we have the.
Yes,
Leicester
I think we
lineup.
do. Somebody in the chat just posted it. I'll read it out. It's Schmeichel, Justin, Amate, Fofana, Thomas. Interesting. He's dropped Soyuncu. Amate is starting instead. Tielemans, KDH, NDD, Barnes, Albrighton, Nacho. No Madison again.
No Madison again.
Madison, there's something wrong with him. I mean, he was recovering from a lower back injury, and he's been benched in 4 of the previous 7 games. So there's definitely either he's not fully match fit or there's something going on. I am not exactly sure.
The first thing
Seems to
that
be a bit dodgy at this point in
first
time.
thing jumps out to me looking at that lineup is it's so much stronger than what he fielded in the league, and that's my problem with Leicester City.
Yes.
It's clearly prioritizing Europe, and again, it's a short turnaround. I think 72 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
And that too, they're playing away.
So that's my problem with Leicester City. In fact, maybe plump on Brentford. Just I think you do the nostalgia thing with Christian Eriksen. Just when he's hitting that little bit of form, I think you do that nostalgia thing. I was earlier thinking about plumping on Leicester on free hit, but now I think Brentford might be the play because fresher legs, etc. as well, and Leicester having their heads elsewhere.
Another thing with Eriksen is that Leicester have conceded the second highest number of goals from set pieces this season. So they have a weakness, and we know that there's no one better at dead balls than Eriksen. So I think I'm not exactly against that punt. That's a decent punt to take on free hit.
And Ivan Toney is just a much better option than he was maybe 3 weeks ago because of the formation shift, right? I mean, Brentford are not playing 4-2. How do you say it? 4-4? No, 3-5-2 now. They're playing 3-4-3 instead of 3-5-2, where Tony's not dropping deep. In fact, it's Eriksen who's the guy who's coming deep and creating the play. That's what Tony had to do earlier. So I like Eriksen, Mbeumo, or Tony as a shout. I'd probably single or double up on their attack.
Yeah. Since the shift to 4-3-3, Tony's getting more chances. He's getting into more threatening positions, and I was actually. I was looking at the bookies odds, and I was actually a bit surprised to see Tony right up there. I mean, Kane is first most likely goal scorer. Tony is the second this week. So even the bookies like Tony this week, and I can see why, because Leicester's defensive stats absolutely abysmal, and Tony's in a lot of form. So Tony's definitely someone I would have on a free hit.
This is one of those games which could be a little crazy and get a few goals in them.
Yes, this is the game that feels like the goals game this weekend. And something interesting also to note from the lineups, Daka isn't even on the bench today. Is Iheanacho starting? So that's another punt you could look at. I don't mind that at all.
Him not being on the bench is also quite a big deal. Is there some injury situation?
There must be.
It's a big game.
There must be. Not be on the bench.
He did come on against Arsenal.
Just so difficult to call at the moment, Arles. Is Maddison on the bench? Then it makes him a decent pick.
Madison's on the bench, but makes him a decent pick for this week, but would make you worry for next week, because the only reason you would bench Maddison in a must-win game is purely because he's not able to cope in terms of injury and physicality.
Yeah. No, I was just talking purely free hit. But again, I think it's a red flag. The fact that he's benched for such a game, it's a red flag. I don't know. Yeah. I'm not feeling confident about... I mean, I'd still go Barnes over anybody else if you're plumping on attack and just take that shot, because he's a momentum sort of player as well. But I do like... I'm more confident about Brentford attackers instinctively.
Boomo? Maybe somebody goes for Boomo.
Yeah, it's a game, right? It's a game where you take a punt on somebody like Boomo as well because of how fragile Leicester have looked at the back. That's about it.
And I was just joking around. He's playing on the wing now. He's not even playing up top. So just ignore that. I was just playing around there. Cool. Let's move on to Spurs.
Spurs West Ham is a really, really interesting one because Spurs don't Spurs struggled against United because United sat back, and Spurs don't like to play against teams that sit back. And if you're thinking about it rationally and from a tactical standpoint, that's exactly what West Ham are going to do. West Ham are going to sit back and play on the counter, and Spurs won't like playing against such a defense. That's what tactically is. But this is also a derby, which has been a mad, mad game for the last couple of years. I remember, if you remember, the Bale brace and the Lanzini winner right at the end, etc. So again, the Sunday games seem like the goal games to me on paper, and it's weird things happen in the game week. But again, I'd be confident plumping on attackers from either side in this game, and I would not captain anybody else but Harry Kane. I
I
just
wouldn't
don't
be
think anybody
confident
else
on
can.
West Ham attack. I think this is a Spurs 1-0 or a Spurs 2-0.
Yes, Yunku is also not in the squad, by the way.
Interesting. Might also
Maybe
be injured
he's
then.
injured as well. Yeah.
So Amate becomes a decent shout as well now if you want to bring in someone just as if you need money. Not a bad option.
If I was on free hit, I'd go Son over Kulusevski, just because it's been a while and Son is Son.
I would go triple attack, maybe. Or would you bring in Doherty? Because just because of the lack of options in defense.
I don't even mind doubling up on defense because I don't like too many defenders this week, and I see genuine upside with Doherty and Reguilon, so I don't mind Doherty, Reguilon, and Kane. Because I like quite a few of the other attackers as well this week. You know, for example, Coutinho could do well. There's Ivan Toney, there's Jimenez, Rafinha. But with Spurs, you get two wingbacks who have the attacking potential and some decent clean sheet potential as well, given the fact that, you know, West Ham won't have Bowen. So I would personally go with Doherty, Reguilon, and Kane.
I'd go Romero over Rex for sure. He was spending so much time in the opposition box last night.
Dude, Reguilon could have scored a brace.
Exactly.
But, I mean,
I'm a bit worried that he might actually bench him and play Doherty on the left and Royal on the right.
And the one thing with Romero is that he's shitting bonus points. Yellow card every game, top of bonus points every game. Like, he absolutely amasses those BPS. So that's what I like a lot. He's not reliant on attacking returns to get 2 or 3 bonus points, which is what really I like him. I've liked him as a player and a pick since the time he's come in the league. So
this will be an interesting game to watch, though, because Spurs have generally struggled when they've had short turnarounds this season. Yeah. We've seen that time and again. But West Ham also have the Europa. Yeah, I was going to say that. West Ham also have a Europa League fixture. Yeah. And I think it's an away fixture, if I'm not mistaken.
It is both West Ham. No, sorry, West Ham play at home. West Ham were at away the first leg. West Ham are home second leg. Leicester are away.
Okay.
Leicester are away.
And I'm fully expecting them to play first choice because they're 1-0 down from the first leg as well. So
Sevilla are tough. Sevilla are like Europa League like kings.
Exactly. So 1 day extra rest for Spurs is also a factor that would come in my head, and especially in such short turnaround times. And both are having fairly thin squads at the moment in terms of the players that they're playing. I think that might also be a factor. So yeah, maybe triple Spurs. Go towards Brentford attackers is what we're thinking. We don't mind Barnes. Villa, we don't mind attack. Arsenal, obviously 2 players you get in there, and maybe 1 Leeds player is where we are at in terms of free hit.
Cool. So we wrap up and move to our teams?
Yep.
First up, your team, Bakar.
I'm rolling with 9 starters this week. Ramsdale in goal, Tierney, Doherty, Rafinha, Kulusevski, Saka, Ramsey, Jimenez, and Kane captain. I'm just going to roll a transfer. Simple as that. Set myself up for 31.
How much money do you have?
I have 0.5 in the bank, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
not really.
0.5.
Not really anything you can do with that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I want to keep all those players long-term as well. You know, James, Robertson, Trent I need for Gameweek 31. Roja can possibly have a double in 33. So that's why I don't really think it's worth getting rid of anyone. Salah is Salah, so that explains it.
Fair enough. Because I think Broya, probably if you had a little bit of money, I would have maybe been able to tempt you to move towards a lesser striker, maybe Tony, but not really anyone I see over there. LR?
I've sent a couple of screenshots this week because I actually want. Yep. So I have 7 players this week. I have Ramsdale, Doherty, White, Rafinha, Saka, Kulusevski, and Kane. Kane's cap. The problem is, Zoph, if you can move to my 31 team. In 31, I have Ramsdale, who's playing Palace away. I've got Trent, Robbo, who are playing Watford at home. I've got Doherty, who's playing Newcastle at home. Rudiger, who's playing Brentford at home. Salah, Rafinha, Kulusevski, Gordon, and Richarlison, who have a double, and Kane. And I'm benching Saka and White against Palace and Adams against Leeds United. So the only move, because I need to keep all the other players, because they have either a good fixture or a double in 31. The only move that I can really see is maybe an Adams to a Tony, because I'm benching him in 31 anyway to get that one extra player. But it's something I'm not really inclined towards doing in case we have that favorable team in the FA Cup not winning. If Chelsea or City double in 33, that's where I want to focus my transfers 33 onwards. So I'm just thinking of maybe moving to Adams to a Tony if I fancy it. Else I'll save. I don't see any other move. Do you guys see anything?
I like Adams to Tony though.
Yeah.
I would do it as well in your situation because you're well set up for 31. You already have two Everton players, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
you don't have Jimenez. I don't see you getting Weghorst in 31 as well because you already have Richarlison in there.
Yeah, and Weghorst scored 5 goals in the last. Burnley have scored 5 goals in the last 14, 15 games.
But the fixtures are kinder, right?
Barring the 3 goals against Brighton, you're forgetting the 3 goals against Brighton.
One game only. Wow. Yeah, I do agree. The fixtures are there. I don't.
Because even if you put aside Man City, it's Everton they're playing, and then it's Norwich, and then I think West Ham and Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. West Ham away and Southampton at home.
Good fixtures.
Definitely. The City fixture aside, the other 4 are decent. I mean, I would expect them to score like a couple against Everton. Everton haven't won away from home since like September, if I'm not mistaken. They have like 6 points away from home this season.
What do you Bakar, did Marsh talk about Gelhardt at all in the press conference?
Yes, he has a knock.
Yes, he did. And he did mention that he has a knock. He didn't play in the under 23 fixtures as well because of it. So he was saying that he was hoping he'd make it, but he wasn't like exactly confident.
Because that was one move in my head from a very strategic point of view where I was like, you know what, I'll make one spot dead, remove cash from the bench, convert a 6.5 million striker to a 4.6 million striker and keep that cash ready. And he might or might not play in 30. That's another move.
Even if he was fit, I wouldn't recommend you going there because he was very complimentary of Rodrigo's performance. Yeah. And I don't think Rodrigo or Bamford are going to get dropped this game week. So
no, the idea was dead ending that spot because
I get it.
Bench boost already. That's all.
I mean, you could still do it. I mean, even if he's sort of injured.
And the only other player I'm tempted to get is Fofana in defense, or do the Salah to Barnes and then get sell Rafinha or sell Barnes again for Salah. Do the hokey cokey there. Those are the only other moves I can. Yeah. Adams to Tony just makes more sense.
Yep. Stay away from Fofana, and this is just a general advice I'd give to everyone about players coming back from long-term injury. Because a lot of time, what happens from a sports science perspective, you rehab the injury. It's at the knee, but the rest of your body takes time to adapt to the workload. So it's often guy like you see what's happened with Reece. He came back. It's not his leg which was originally injured got injured. It's the other leg because that's not obviously been used to train in the same workload, etc. So any player who's usually been out for a period of longer period, be cautious about buying them the first 2 games. There's a very high risk of a re-injury.
Cool. I'll probably roll off you.
This is my team. I actually might be taking a hit again. Let's talk about that. Ramsdale, because I've got only 7 players right now. I've got Ramsdale, Dean, who probably won't play. I don't think he's trained yet, but he has been called up to the France squad. So the injury isn't too bad from what I'm hearing, but probably will miss out this weekend. So Ramsdale, Dean, Doherty, Kulusevski, Rafinha, Saka, Jimenez, and Kane. These are the only players I have available. I have only 0.2 in the bank. So the 2 options I was looking at, I could do Trossard to Barnes, but I would need to fund that. Possibly by going something like Dean to White. Now, the problem with White is, if you look at my defense, I've got Cancelo, Doherty, Trent, and James. Even in 33, I won't be fielding White over any of these guys. Pretty much no week will White really be seeing the starting 11 except game week 30. So is that really an optimal transfer to make? I don't know. Instead, I could just go Trossard to Martinelli and save the
I like that.
What do you guys think?
The mark.
I would do that as well.
The no hit, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm leading.
I like Trossard to Martinelli.
Because I'm not really seeing the clean sheet again for Arsenal. I'm not that confident this week. And I just want to get a defender with upside. White just doesn't seem fun to me.
Nope. Cash is the one, I think, which is going for upside.
Yeah, but can't afford that if I had to get Barnes. My budget would be 4.5. So
Chambers, I don't mind Chambers as a pick, just to push cash off your bench because he's 4.2, 4.3. He doesn't. That's what you like, also, right? His price point as a pick.
Regarding Chambers, I think Konsa is back in training.
he is,
but
but I
I-
don't think he gets back in.
Agreed. That's the thing.
Right, cool. Let's do our Q&A, guys, for few minutes before we wrap up.
All right. Before we move into the questions, we've got nice 750 people watching us on Thursday. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're hitting the subscribe button. We want to get to the 20,000 subscription number before the end of this season. And if you like our work, just share it on Twitter. Helps us getting found out. And that's about it. All right. Let's go to the questions. Is this a good week to be aggressive? None of us think it's a good week to be aggressive. It's a good week to defend. Somebody's asking when would you use your chips. We did a whole chip strategy discussion right at the top of the pod. You need to,
we can't really give you a very clear answer because it depends so much on the FA Cup outcomes. But what we suggested, roll a transfer if you can this week.
yep, if you can. Bakar was kind enough to spoon feed you all with the situations in which you should use a transfer as well. So just refer to that. He has that on his thread as well. Take a hit for a keeper. If you're taking a hit for Ramsdale, I don't mind it. I think he's the best keeper in the game. I don't mind a hit there. What do you guys think?
Yes, I like Ramsdale.
I'm actually not so sure.
For 33 as well?
Yeah, Zoph, you can go ahead.
I was just saying Ramsdale is good for 33 as well, right? But that being said, 33 is what? Southampton away, Chelsea away? Not the best.
You don't mind that for a keeper. You always don't mind that for a keeper because Hall potential is higher.
Ramsdale has been the keeper to own so far, but I own him and I'm not entirely sure whether I'm going to keep him from 31 onwards. I mean, I might sell him for Pope because you get an additional fixture with Pope over this season, and Burnley have a great run of fixtures as well. And I personally expect Burnley to tighten up. So I'm not really sure, but I'll think about it. I would definitely not take a hit for Ramsdale this week.
Don't do it. Quality of defenses are miles apart. Arsenal are unquestionably easily a top 5 defense with having something to play for the end of the season. Don't do it. I don't normally put my foot down and tell you, don't do this. Don't. Just go for the better defensive team.
Apparently, we had a super chat earlier, but I can't scroll back far enough. So
I'll try finding it. Yep. Okay, we can't scroll back that far enough. Son and Raul to Barnes and Kane for -4. Bakar?
Son and Barnes to
Raul
and
that.
Kane. Son and Raul to Barnes and Kane, right?
Yeah, Son and Jimenez,
I like that as well.
Son and Jimenez to Barnes and Kane.
Yeah.
Rank 1 for 1 week punt. Raf, Martinelli, Ericsson, Barnes. You don't need us to rank that.
Raf would be my first.
As a 1 week punt? Really? For me, it would be Barnes.
I do expect him to do well.
I think Barnes has the highest ceiling.
I would go with Raf, Barnes. Who's the third other than Ericsson? Who's the fourth?
Martinelli.
Yeah, I'd go with Martinelli as my third and Ericsson as my fourth.
Cool. I don't think we need to do the Q&A today. I think we've covered everything there is to. So I don't know if we should just extend the pod. But Bakar, what's the plan for the dance? That's something I'm more interested in right now.
You'll get to know over the break.
But so is it not going to break live on the FPL Wire? Is it going to break live on Twitter?
On
I'll
Instagram.
have to think about it. I mean,
on Instagram /
I haven't really given it much thought. I'm actually celebrating my birthday over the international break, so I'll think about it once I'm done with that.
Apparently, Bakar's camera was overheated today before the stream, and he was in his night suit all day. So
he's been using his camera a lot. Wonder what for?
Only fans. Right. Yeah. Few super chats from Nehal. He's asking with the Chelsea situation, thoughts on Havertz 31. Bye. Clearly, very much the main man.
And playing really, really well.
Playing really, really well. Shani Rasul, we have another super chat. Kane in, Son out for -4. What's the latest on Bakar's love life? Bakar's being quite candid today.
Overheated cameras and night suits. Spending all day in night suits. Make of that what you may. Sandeep's asking Dennis to Tony and Diaz to Barnes or Saka for -4.
God.
Dennis to Tony and getting rid of Dennis is a plus, no matter what you do. And Diaz to Barnes or Saka. Yeah, I like that. Dennis
Is
to
it though? I mean, Watford have been playing front foot football. They've been so attacking. Generally, it surprised me, Roy's team. I don't know. I don't know what Watford are doing at the moment.
I don't even know what the fixtures are beyond this. So
Same. Okay, Ryan's asking, is it worth downgrading? So do it, Sandeep. Do it, and I'd go Saka over Barnes. Still,
yeah,
I think Saka is just one of
much
the
more
best picks at
reliable.
that price. Ryan's asking, is it worth downgrading Son to Kulu or Martinelli? No free hit and already have Kane. The idea is to distribute the funds to the defensive premium options. Yes, I like that. I don't know if I like it this week. Don't do it this week, right? Just do it next week. Yes, saving the transfer Ryan. So do it next week. This week, just hold Son. Just a gut feel. I mean, that's my instinct. Free hitters go Son and Kane this week.
Definitely.
The list is asking Melia, Cash, Chambers, Mings, Barnes, Madison, Nacho, Kane, Sun, Kulu. Oh, his
That's
free
his
hit.
free
Good
hit
luck,
team.
Tanejas. Good luck. Good luck.
So he's tripling up on the Villa defense, huh? And Melier in goal. I like that because he's going for the upside. I like that. He's completely stacking. I like that. You have to, the free hit, you pretty much have to do that, right? Back one side and stack it.
Not this week. This week I'd go for the aggressive defenders because I can't
you're
call
dull
one
now.
single.
You're dull as fuck now, so it doesn't really matter.
No, but it's not about being dull. It's about finding that one team which has that triple clean potential. I can't call it out. That's the
I never thought I'd see the day when Zoph would advocate triple Villa defense and Melier and Brindle would actually advocate against it. Like, what the hell is going on?
LR is template FC now.
Daniel, I just want to say get Ericsson, do the right thing and get Ericsson. Free hitters should get Christian Ericsson. It's just the right thing to do. Pay homage to the player. Do that. Do the right thing. Liskip Billis is asking Diaz or Robertson for after Gameweek 30. Robertson. Liverpool have defensively improved tons. I think that's the biggest reason for the 9-game streak as well. You might get tempted by the fun, good-looking picks in attack, but Robertson is far and above the best third pick in the league. You guys agree?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
He's fired up. He's fired up for the title challenge. You can tell.
Yep. Did we get a Kulu song performance? Wrong pod Pras. You need to go to our average FPL for that one.
There's one before that, right? Salah to Barnes.
Yeah.
Karan is asking.
And then Son to Salah 31. Yeah, I don't mind that hooky.
I guess it depends if you don't have any other necessarily transfers. I don't necessarily think because because Son is a good fixture in 31 right after this he has Newcastle at home in 31. It's not a bad fixture.
Don't do it. You changed my mind, and we've spoken about how we're not sure about Barnes in 31, 32 as well. But it seems like a trap, especially because of the European games just around that. So
there was a question we missed earlier that I thought we should answer. Best long-term Dean replacement.
Next week, Chelsea defender.
Yep. Wait for it and go next week to a Chelsea defender. Spot on, guys.
Or Cancelo if you don't know.
Right.
Either or, take your pick. I don't have problems playing players from either City or Liverpool in that fixtures off. Historically, there's been a few times when that game has gone berserk as well. I don't have problems at all playing just good players in that fixture.
Right, no more super chats, please, guys. We're going to wrap up after we answer the last few.
Yeah. Habibi has asked, what formation for free hit this week? I don't know, man. We spoke about the picks we like. Probably go more on attack than defense because we couldn't really point
back three, but then after that really depends on who you guys. I don't see that many options up top really, but there could be. You could still go for three strikers. There are three strikers you could.
Just get Ericsson.
Did we already do Nitash, Dean, Broya to Johnny Tony?
I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, I won't do it personally.
Yep.
Nitash, if you're wildcarding in 31 or 34, maybe then. But there are just better places to spend your transfers later. 31, that's all.
Cool. Let's wrap up.
All right. See you, boys. We will see you at some point in the international break. We will take some time off. We don't know when we're going to pod. We'll revisit that on Monday and put out the tweet with regards to that. Any last words, boys?
Nothing much. Thanks for joining us. See you at the other side of the international break. Like and subscribe.
Happy Holi to all our Indian listeners and happy St. Patrick's Day to all our Irish listeners. Shout out to Hibu as well. See you boys. Cheers. Take care.
Take care.